I'm Barton Bund, and Bongo is going to drop in from time to time as my assistant. I'm an actor and a director. I began as a drama teacher, and it's what I thought I would. It's what I went to school for, and it's what I thought I'd wind up doing with my whole life, you know. And then I after giving it a bunch of different, like trying to, you know, like all these very, very cool different teaching environments from, I started out teaching very, very young kids, you know, in school age. And then I was teaching like kindergarten, dance classes of all, you know, it's like this broad range of things. And then I was in the public school system doing, directing whole plays or just dropping in for a semester as a guest instructor. And over the course of time, then I moved into, I was teaching adults, you know, and I found, wow, that was a whole new challenge. And yet I loved teaching acting kind of in the same way. I think no matter what age I was working with, I think many of the things remained the same. They remained true. So, as you can see by my scarf, I'm a drama teacher. But I'm an actor as well, and now that I've been in show business, and I haven't taught in a long time because I've been working as an actor and doing that, and now I want to return to teaching and just share some of the things that I've learned along the way. So one of the things that I was able to do as an actor, one of the reasons I think that some of these jobs were coming about for me is that I'd had experience teaching. And so they knew that I worked with kids. And so people would pair me up with young actors. We just, it's cool to hang out, you know, because I think the more that you sort of like, if you have any time to just chat together, that's great, because then when you get on camera, you'll still be, you know, you'll have that natural ease to it. And if you're a young actor, or if you're a parent of a young actor, and I think that parents and young actors could even watch this episode together, because this isn't so much an acting lesson, although I will get into a few particulars after I address a few important things. Because I've been thinking about young actors that I've known and that I've worked with. And then also I have a few friends who were child actors themselves who had very interesting lives. The kind of thing that I wanted to do when I was a kid. We had this amazing show called The Wonder Years with Fred Savage, and he played a character my exact same age. And God, you know, he was just, he was a phenomenon of a child actor, and a great, you know, and still is to this day a great actor and director and other things. And I looked at that and I just said, that's the dream job. You know, it really was like the dream job of a child actor would be to have a lead role, a central role in such in a show like that. But the range of jobs, I didn't realize this, the range of jobs was more likely, if I were a child actor at that time, more likely I would have been doing just commercials and things like that, much more, nothing so high profile. However, there were a few reasons why I didn't really begin. I was not a child actor. I did acting. I was in the theater. I did local things. I had a lot of fun, built up skills during that time. And then, rather than trying to seek it out when I'm still very, very young, rather than trying to chase that, I spent the time learning as much as I could about it, getting as close as I possibly could. I mean, I never missed out on trying to reach for opportunities and things like that. First film I ever did was about 17, though. You know, I didn't do anything, you know, I never got in front of a camera before that. And anyway, I'm glad that in a way, if you're contemplating going into this business, if you're young and you're seeking it out, and that is your not only a future dream but your current dream. I mean, that's what you're currently at. That's what you're working towards. You know, I have found now, coming to it as an adult actor. You know, I mean, and not. You know, I mean, I think I from about 17, you know, into you know, that my professional career began then. I'm so glad, in a way, because the business, as I was able to encounter it, the business was just as amazing as I always dreamed it would be. And by then, I could also handle a little bit of what the business was gonna throw at me. And so I'm at an audition, and before I joined Screen Actors Guild, I was doing a lot of smaller jobs that used non-union actors and commercial stuff. I mean, there was a lot, but this is funny. I was in this audition, and they were pairing us up, which they would do. They would pair you up. You're a parent, and you're matched with a child who looks enough like you. And some casting directors are really, really good at that side of, you know, like being able to I mean, it's freaky sometimes. And I had some wonderful children who would cast as my children. And even once or twice, my own kids came on to set with me just for it was once in a blue moon we were able to do something together, and that was cool. That was the only way that I wanted, but I didn't push. My kids were not in the business. I didn't push that, and none of us really wanted. We only wanted them to be having fun doing whatever it was, or if I was gonna be on the set, if I was gonna be the one, you know, if it was gonna be my job, and they were playing my literal children. Sorry, I think my dog is about to throw up. Please don't throw up in the middle of the class. Okay, if the dog throws up in the middle of the class, that would be like reality TV. Man, Bongo, whatever's over there, it's not good for you. Anyway, when okay, excuse me for a moment. He was over there chewing on a piece of cactus. Anyway, I was in this audition, and they were pairing me up with 1-year-old, a little baby, and there were twin boys who were there with their mom, and their mom was also in the business, and brings these two little babies in, and I know how to hold one, and I've had entire jobs where it's been my job to be on, you know, on set holding a real baby and being, you know, responsible for it, like for somebody else's child for an entire day, like out of nowhere. It's that was unusual, but here I am. I have this one in my arms, and I said, oh, and is his twin brother also going to audition? And she said, no, Dylan's SAG. Anyway, so I wasn't even SAG at this point. And as a child, I'm glad that my folks didn't ever have to put me through that decision of just like, well, it's a big decision. I mean, because joining a union, it's a big decision. Anyway, so I used to bring my kids when they were very young, would come with me to auditions. And there was this one audition for Low Winter Sun, the show on AMC that filmed in Detroit. And they had me reading for a cop role. Of course, most likely. It's always a cop role. And then, but there was another one. I had my kids with me, and they said, well, why don't you read for this dad role that we have as well? It was an upgrade. I didn't realize. This was nice. This was a step up. And they said, you have my youngest was with me, and you said, well, you have her with you. Why don't you hold her and do the scene? And I'm going to pretend it was like this. I mean, when she was facing me, of course, but it was sort of it was like so I'm holding Iris, and I do the scene, and anyway, let me let you down, boy. And they said, well, this guy knows how to hold a baby, and it certainly stuck out among other auditions because this guy actually had a real baby, and that's what I needed to do on the set. And I show up that day. I got the job, and it was great. But most of my job that day was really caring for this baby, somebody else's baby, and there were two of them. The first one came in, and he was a year old. I was like, why don't we use my kid? And they said, well, she's too old. They wanted like a year old. She was 18 months. That's showbiz, kid. Anyway, we're there. The first baby is there, and they didn't get done with shooting with all of our coverage. And so the next baby comes in. First baby was a breeze. He was chill. He'd done movies before. Like, he was just like a professional baby. Maybe he was SAG as well. I didn't ask. It was like it was when you have chemistry with a fellow actor. Anyway, then a few hours later, the next baby has come in, and this was a first move. The first day, first job that this baby ever had. And the mom hadn't quite known what this was like, and that it was hard, because now I was opposite Jennifer Ely, a very, very wonderful actor whom I admire a great deal. And I'm playing her husband. And it was a great gig to play a husband to her, this actor whom I had watched and admired for so long. And she has kids. Our kids weren't Bongo. They weren't the same age, but they were the same age apart, the same years apart. And so we talked at one point, because this baby, the baby that was that went on, that wound up in the close-up, had a really hard time and was screaming and crying the whole time. And mom would come in between takes, and then I'd have to be the one to take the baby away again. And I tried everything. I sang to him, I held him, I rocked him, I did everything. And there's just so much downtime that in between setups, that we were just losing all the precious time with the baby that we could. I mean, this window of baby, and then the baby would be fine for a take, and then we'd have to start this process over and over and over. It was really hard, and everybody was like, "Bart, you're pretty good with this." I'm like, "I've done it before." And then on the way out, it's really kind of hard though, because we had this. It was just it added something difficult, was this crying little baby who really I didn't think it was right for me to be holding it even after a while. I just said, this kid needs his mother. And so we got done with it. Later, we would have to re-record the whole scene. And when we got done with it, we were walking out, and I said to Jennifer, would you ever have your own kids do something like that at that young age? She said, no. With all these stories, I think I keep coming back to a point. I mean, the theme here is that I wonder, for parents and children, I mean, at what age do you really, really want to start this process? A lot of times, if you're looking at the kids that you see on Disney Plus shows, many of them have been at it since they're very, very, very young, maybe babies. And their parents have worked very, very hard. Many of their parents are already in the industry. And their parents have worked very hard to get them to auditions and to set and all these things, and your own parent may not be able to take you on all these auditions and shows. They may not be able to, they have jobs and they have all these things, and you have to consider that, because if you do this, your parent has to be there with you, until you reach a certain age. So you have to consider that. You also have to consider how much hard work this really is. And it's not a break from school. If you get a job during a school day, you have an on-set teacher who works with you. So in between setups, you are having to do your homework with a person who and it's a long day. And then the conditions of doing it can be really hard. I can remember some long hot days, and having a child actor really they have a hard time keeping up their energy, and it's not really fair to them. I think that they tire out a lot easier than adult actors. We're tired too, man. So I can't imagine what they must be experiencing. And so I am going to come on now with my message. This is it. You want to know my message today is don't. Okay? You want to, if that's your dream, and if you, let's say that you even live in California where the productions are. I mean, if you live in Brighton, Michigan, you're not close to where productions are. And so if that's your dream, like, you have that against you, that they usually, you have to be local. It's much easier if you work from right there to work on any project. I think that they would usually use a local person. So you have to consider that. Remember that. I knew people from here who were in my classes, and they had signed up because they had wanted to go on these Disney auditions. They go to Orlando and they pay money to do it. And these are auditions, general auditions that Disney holds open to, applicants, anybody who can afford it and can take the trip down there. And I suppose they do take some people. And auditions like that, that's a chance to be seen. Of course. Except you never go on auditions that you have to pay for. Those aren't necessarily, that's a pretty, follow that rule. Any service, likewise, any agency, any service, anything like that, if there's money required from you, look sideways at it, because that's not what you're looking for. What would really happen is that you and your parents had really, really hustled, you'd be, and you were looking for other auditions that were specifically, specifically, if you were looking around, you were reading backstage and you were looking and you were getting auditions, you had an agent, if you were working with an agent at that point. I can remember one of my students I'm in the Detroit area. I'm pretty far from Hollywood, and I'm pretty far from Atlanta and anywhere else they'd be making any of these. But one of my students, she was really tremendous, still is, and just, quite a talent, and was teen age, 16, 17, and was getting this Disney audition. And that's a big deal. To be seen by that crowd. That's a really, really big deal. And I was like, we've been working this whole time on Shakespeare and theater acting, and now there's this other kind of acting that they do in these TV shows. And I said, do you do this? Is this something that? Okay, let's do it. Let's shoot the video submission. Let's do it. So we did a very, very good audition that we filmed, and we sent it in, and we just said, wow, me and her mom, who had known each other for a while, because this person had been a student forever, since very young. And we said, we had no idea. But then again, she can do anything, and it was a great audition, a chance to be seen. But again, if you get your hopes up for something, you live a million miles away from them. It's going to be, just consider the realities here. But if you are like, forget you, Bart, I'm doing it anyway, it's my dream, I'm going. I'm 12. I don't care. You know, I'm ready. Like, it's now or never. All right, man, go. Yes, and like, you know, make sure you work with a coach and just be and parents, just be ready for it. Just be ready for all this stuff. Go in and learn as much as you possibly can. Now it's there are safety things in place. Now it's a safer time than it's ever been to go into the acting profession. There are a lot of new things that you'll be aware of, that you'll be glad to. I think that now I think people are a bit more aware of how to communicate with young people than ever before. I think that's a refined process by now. And so safety on set, yeah, I mean, if it's a legit production, I mean, I think that you, the parent, are going to be there to ensure the safety. And also to ensure that nobody's getting pushed too far, that everybody stays hydrated, nobody eats too much off the sugary snack table, and making sure that it remains a good experience for that young person. Because I don't want you to have this dream shattered by some bad experience. Even one bad day on a set might just be enough to be like, this is not what I wanted, you know? And that's the other reason I'm like, okay, when you're young, it's a really, really good time to build your skills. All of those young people on Disney shows, for one thing, a lot of them might be older than teenage and they still look teenage. Consider that. I just consider that they may actually be older than you think. They may actually be adult actors. That is quite often the case. But then again, the young people who are legit teens and who've gone through the training, and I am blown away by the virtuosic singing, dancing, triple threat, quadruple threat abilities of these folks. It's amazing what those young people can do. So consider that when you audition, they are going to be wondering, I mean, do you sing or dance and things like that? You don't have to, maybe, I mean, they're just going to ask. Now, never say that you can do something that you can't. I mean, there are some things you can. Some things you can say yes to. But for the most part, if they ask you if you can dance, I mean, anybody can dance. But have you trained as a dancer? Likewise with singing. Do you sing? Yeah. You know, I've had some experience with that. Okay. You know, like, just consider what people are, you know, like, consider your competition. It's very, very intense, the talents and abilities and drive of those others. And I don't want the competitive side of this to dishearten you, because it kills me, honestly, that the competition exists and that the competition is sort of put upon young people in such a way. You'll find most people are like very friendly. So if you are going on enough, if you're starting, if you're kind of moving slow and you're like, I go on a few auditions, it's not hardcore. You know, I'm just auditioning for stuff in the summers, or I'm just, you know, I'm going at this in a way that works for me and my parents, you know. Still, I want you to be aware of all these things. And I'm just trying to tell you about them so that you can either avoid them or prepare for them. You know, the disappointment of wanting a job so bad and then not getting it. It's hard for anybody. I mean, I think many adults have learned to roll with it. But yet, no, it still bothers me when there's something I really, really wanted, you know. But on the other hand, consider this. Parents, consider this. The intense, the rejection that comes, because you have to audition a whole lot. That's the thing. The more you audition, the more you're going to be working. I mean, on average, that's the thing. It's not based on one great audition. It's based on a lot of auditioning that finds you into work in different pockets, doing different things. And honestly, most of what it might be, or where it might start, where it might, you know, where a lot of the money is, though, too, is in a commercial. And a commercial is, I think, a pretty easy way of getting of getting some experience as a young person. I wouldn't say no to that. And even my own kids and I, we did a couple of those. I never put, my kids never went out on jobs by themselves with me as the on-set parent or anything like that. We just didn't. Yeah, if it's just a day, that's doable, and they're often looking for, new faces. So let's get to that point, okay? Let's make the next part of this lesson about preparation and the job, all right? Now let's say that it is a commercial, all right? That's a lot of the auditions that will come through are going to be for commercial type things. Now that could be anything as well, but hang on, I think that you guys probably want to hear more about like doing a spot on a TV show or something like that. Let's say that you had a day, you auditioned to be a kid on a TV medical drama. All right, great job, great gig, great gig. Now they only use those people once. Have you noticed that? How those guest stars come through, and so like you audition and you get into one of these things, and that show, that's it. And there are also times where if you've shown up as an extra, and working as an extra, I mean, I don't know how many kid extras, extra jobs that they have, but anyway, if you've shown up as an extra on some jobs, they don't use you again because you've already been. You're too recognizable because there are fans at home who watch these shows and would notice. Some people have the good luck of landing on one of these things, and some of them are able. Yeah, I've even known people who were versatile enough to turn up on Law and Order more than once. But let's say that you're a kid who's undergoing a surgery or something on a medical drama, and it's a great gig. You're going to have a few scenes, and you get some dramatic things are going on and things like that. It's going to be great. Here's the audition. They give you a number of a few pages and some lines, and you're going to learn them. So here's what you're going to do. This is a very, very quick guide to video submission auditions. As soon as you get that material, as soon as you get that script, and I often call it the material, get in front of a camera and start rehearsing your audition with the script in hand. It's fine. Just start going, start doing the, what is it? Maybe there's a scene where, and have somebody read it with you if you can. Some auditions come and they come so fast you don't have anybody who can read with you, but most of the time, you'll have another person who can help you out. Then, place them on the other side of the camera from yourself. Okay, so first, your preparation, your memorization, do that in front of a camera. Here's why. Something happens in the brain when you go back and watch yourself again after having gone through this process, and so your brain it's just moving faster, I think, and it remembers it. It just works quicker. I don't know how exactly, but it's a neat trick. And then, because eventually you're going to be, let's say that you got that audition that day and you needed to send it out at 4:00 that afternoon. It happens. Okay. So get it memorized. Okay. Your memory is never going to be better than it is when you're 12 years old. So, you're learning your lines, you're, practicing in front of a camera, and now you're ready for the submission. Dress the part. Okay. If you're in a hospital bed, if you're a patient who's in recovery or something like that, what can you wear? Can you wear a t-shirt even would convey it. You don't wear a suit. You don't have to dress up nice. Wear suit the role. Then, have your readers stand behind the camera, maybe here. How about this? Find your eye line. Maybe it's above the camera, and feel free to change eye lines during the scene a little bit. I'll tell you why. It's a silly trick that I discovered, but Think about it. This is the only chance that they get to see you. If they only see you from one angle, they don't have a full picture of you. So if you've shown them a few things, then so if your eye line is here, but it's sort of like you're talking to more than one person. And sometimes you're just kind of talking to yourself, and sometimes you stare off into space. I mean, you're getting big news. You're in a hospital. Now, lighting is important. When you submit that day, and you may not, if you get it, you may find out very quickly. If you don't get it, they may not tell you at all. Don't expect them to tell you if you didn't get it. That call may never come. But if you don't hear anything right away, don't expect anything. That's fine. Move on. Move on. They will, if they've seen you. I mean, think of how cool this is. You've been seen now by a big production and they'll remember you. And honestly, if you don't get it, if this one doesn't work out, it's not because you're not good. You wouldn't even be here if you weren't any, if you weren't any good, you wouldn't, if you didn't have any talent for this, you wouldn't be here, okay? Obviously you have the talent. Obviously you do. And you're unique too. That's the thing about you, is that you're not like the other, you're a brand new persona. You're a new face. You're somebody that they haven't seen before. And when I was a kid, like I said, I had Fred Savage, and I thought maybe I should be like him. Maybe acting is what he's doing for these kind of jobs. If in my brain, if I was concocting this, I'm just like, if I was to get into the business, do I do that? I'm finding always no. Uniqueness is what it's about. Versatility, so you can do several different things. Maybe you can play more than one type. Maybe you can play, if it's a school drama, there's going to be several. Can you play a nerd and a jock? Can you play a jock nerd? Can you play you see what I mean. So now you got the job. Okay. They're going to call you about a fitting, some things like that. Parents, just be ready for, just help out with all these steps along the way. Be involved. The kid has a lot of pressure on them right now. And you, young actor, I think you should spend your time mentally preparing here. Knowing your lines, connecting with it, feeling feeling it in your heart, man. Connecting with it emotionally. Absolutely. I consider preparation to be a chance to connect emotionally with your material as much as you can. Of course, you're saving the best for the performance. For when you're in front of the camera, you're going to, you're saving it up for that. So you don't walk around all day in character. I don't recommend that. I think that you should spend, you should find a pocket of time every chance you get during your day, because you're busy, I know. I would find pockets of out of the day where you're not, and these are the times you have to not watch anything. Like, you have to turn off the other screens, and you have to just like focus on this, because this is it. This is what you've been working for. So get those lines down cold, so that they're always going to be there. The way to do that is repeating them. Continuing to practice in front of a camera, probably a great idea. And by now, also, a voice recording is good. Here's a good thing to do. You voice record it into your phone, and you play it with the other lines, and you speak along with just your lines, and you hear the cues that you're recording both lines, both sets of lines. And then you play that back, and you get into the habit, you get into a rhythm. But then take some time away from it. So you've been working it really hard, you've been studying those lines, you've been working at the memorization very, very carefully. And along the way, I hope that you're finding some places where you think maybe you are like your character. Maybe there are these connecting points. I'm like them in this way. You know, yeah, I'm also a child of, of divorce or something like that. Or I'm also I'm also scared of the same things that the character's scared of. I think those are really good to identify. Those moments, those connecting points that you have, because you start way over here and your character's way over here. And somehow they have to do this so that by the time they shoot, you're it. You embody everything that the writer wrote. That's cool, isn't it? So anyway, now you're there. This is the day. You're gonna show up bright and early in the morning. You're gonna get there. These days, there's a lot of COVID protocols, so be ready. Many sets require a vaccination, and many will require masking, and you better be good at that stuff. You need to don't. If you're sloppy about that stuff, you better be a little bit more uptight about it, and especially in the days leading up to it. Seriously, protect. Make sure you don't get sick, and you don't bring COVID. A COVID case will shut down a set. Okay. A positive COVID case, anybody who's been in contact with them, it's really enhanced safety on a set. I just want you to know that. For the time being, it may loosen up, but for right now, that's how it is, okay? It's a precursor to all the rest. So now you're in, you've passed your test, you're in. Gonna get you into wardrobe and makeup. And your makeup person can be a lot of fun to talk to. They are part of what I think can help put you at ease. Because I'm sure that you're a little nervous about this, going into this. Everybody would be. Everybody is nervous on their first day, too. And if it's your only day on a TV show, and you're going into this hospital drama, man, that's a lot of pressure on you. So, you and your parent, I'm sure, have been rehearsing, you've been practicing. Bring your homework with you. There may be an on-set teacher, depending on if it's during the school year. There may be an on-set teacher. They may be a really cool person who just wants to sit down and be like, do you have homework that you need to get done? Okay, do you need help with it? Okay, do you need help with anything else? Do you want to run your lines? They may be like the coolest person you meet all day. But then they're going to rig you up with a microphone. They're going to put you into your spot. And now, we're getting ready. There will be a little bit of rehearsal. Maybe it's only just a chance for everybody to hear the lines, and then they decide where the coverage is going to be, where the camera coverage is going to be. The camera coverage, what the camera covers, okay? And let's imagine that they start off with a wide shot, okay? Where you are at the end of a hall, okay, and you're way back here, and the doctors are talking about you up here. They're like, we've got to operate, doctor. Damn it, I've never done this kind of thing before. Okay. Then they come in a little closer, and now the doctors are standing across the room from you, and they're beginning to talk with you. Then there might be a closer shot where there's somebody beside your bed. And then there are going to be singles just on you. Now, in all of these, I want you to consider how you can start to approach this. In the wide, when you're far away, we're showing you, the camera shows you in relationship to your whole environment. It's the establishing shot. It establishes where we are and what we're doing. Next is the maybe the medium or a two-shot. You and the doctor, you and the other. And then there's the single where they come in and where they see you. And I think you will find this is the best part. Because the crew can really, the hardest that the crew ever works is on those big wide shots because there's so many things going on. Then the medium, it's a smaller setup. And finally, the close-up, you have very few people around you. You'll have a little talk with the director. Ask a few questions. I think you ought to know a few things. Ask these questions. Where am I looking? Where's my eye line? And they'll say, over here. They'll either have you looking at your partner, your scene partner, or a piece of tape or something over there they'll have you looking at. Then, maybe they'll want to hear the lines a few times. And I think on each of these setups, you're going to get about 3 takes, okay? Let's imagine that you get 3. That's great. It's 3 times to get it right, and it gives them 3 different choices. If you get more than that, it's not because you messed it up. It's because they want to see more. And they're not going to quit until they have what they want. You're what they want. You auditioned. You got the job. They love you, and they want you to be good. And they're on your side. So remember, nobody out there is judging you. But that doesn't mean we're not hard on ourselves. And there it is. And not long after, you'll see your episode on TV. And, wow. They won't bring you back to be another sick kid, unfortunately. That is a big, you can look at that and just say wow, as a working actor, that's quite an achievement. Day player, that means it doesn't mean you're the center, the star. It doesn't position you as a star in the way that we sort of imagine the Disney kids become stars. No, it sort of positions you among the community of working actors. And that's a pretty good family. It's a pretty good community. I wish you the best. I mean, now is a great time to learn, I would say. I would say that I would really encourage you, and while you're young, you're learning and you're reading as much as you possibly can. But you're also thinking about your career into the distance. I want you to be able to be an actor at all stages of your life. If you start a little bit later, you'll be able to sustain it longer. There are so many people who have an experience early on, and it's honestly hard to cross the threshold into the next, into adulthood. It honestly, even though, those people do have, of course, an advantage. You've been, you've had all this experience. Yet, you're also very recognizable as a TV character or something like that. Or you've been, I know people, I met Tara Reid, and this is a story. Maybe I'll leave you with this. Tara Reid is an actor, was a child star too. And now as an adult, and I played her husband once. I was sitting next to her, and then we had a child that was playing our child. And you know what I did with that very talented young kid too? I was very impressed. Hadn't done a lot, but this was maybe one experience, and it was just. But she was doing so well. I was just so, and had such a good attitude. And I do this thing. I come onto set and I fold. I have little papers and I fold tiny origami cranes. You see that? So I sit there and I fold them, and sometimes if people are interested, then they come by and we start folding them together. And what it does, so we sit there, and the truth is, I do enjoy working with children, but I don't enjoy if it's chaos or if it's distracted or if I think that a movie set has to be very, very chill. It has to be very, very quiet. And I'm always concerned about maintaining that sort of professional atmosphere. So we are there to have fun, but we are also there to work, and we have to be aware of everybody else. We have to be aware of sound and light and all the things we have to be. It's just a thing to be conscious of. When you're a young actor, you have to act like an adult actor. You have to act like an absolute professional. One of the things I do, because it occupies time and it keeps people busy, is if I am paired with a child actor, if they're interested, we may wind up making a lot of these, just sitting there and talking, and after a minute, they know how to do it, and they memorize, and then we run our lines, we talk about the scene and things like that, and then it's cool because then we go off and we do our separate scenes too. And sometimes I look over and the kid is still it's still going, and I'm like, that's cool, because this is it's very meditative and it's very creative, and at the end of the day, you also have something you can give to your assistant director, the person who's been so cool and helping you out all day. You can just be like, I made these. Can I give you one? They'll never forget you, kid. And then I was sitting next to Tara Reid, and I said, our daughter's very, she's really talented. I hope that like this is, and like this is obviously somebody who should go on in showbiz. And I said to Tara Reid, you were young when you started out. And she was like, I was a baby. And I'm like, oh, that's hard. That's growing up, it may seem cool growing up on a film set, but you also, what comes with that? It's a lot of hard work for a young person, a lot of pressure. Anyway, I admire everyone who is out there and who dreams of it and who keeps after it and who works hard, who studies it, who works hard on their singing, their dancing, all of their skills. But also, I want to reinforce this. The thing that they're looking for, and maybe they wrote a certain type. Maybe they wrote it and they're like, we want she's like this, or they're like that, like it's compare them to this, and this is the type we're looking for. Then consider this. What they don't actually want you to do is act like that person. You might be reading it and saying like, okay, I can do that. I can do that character. My challenge to you, and I think what'll work even better, is if you really, really try and do it with as much you as possible. That it's as unique as you can make it. Try 2 different takes in the audition. Just give them 2 different versions. Okay, one that's maybe a little more, one that's chill, and then one that's just contrasting. I don't know. Maybe one that's a little bit restrained, and then one that's a little bit more imaginative, experimental. I don't know. One that's a little but either way, they'll see with that like, oh, well, they can do it a number of different ways. Plus, they also they have something. They just have something that's funny. That's memorable. And that thing, that quality about you, that strange, unusual thing, too, it takes all types. Like we need many different types of people to fill out a picture on the screen that looks and resembles our world. And so I challenge you to be yourself. And I had the disadvantage. I had been in plays, and but in the plays that I'd been in as a kid, I'd always been playing the old person the old man. I'd always been that. And isn't that funny? Like so, by the time I was actually 17 and I was in my first little indie film, I didn't know how to act like a young person. All of it is sort of like, it comes from a personal place. And then there's also the technical side of it that comes in, the side of it that requires all the time, the dance classes and the voice classes, and the acting classes. There's the technical things that we've learned, but it's all about what you are going to infuse this thing with. There's a script. It's like this pattern, but it's just a pattern. And you infuse it with energy, and it comes alive with that natural you-ness. And for us who watch, it's spectacular to see a young person who's a natural talent. The truth is, we're all natural talents. We just have to find the confidence to be ourselves. And when you see someone really, really cutting loose and doing their thing, man, it's like a miracle.